Welcome back to the channel, guys, and welcome to all my new followers. This week we have the long-awaited review of the wonderful Konica IIIA. Really is a wonderful camera. It is phenomenal. I've bought it a year ago now, so I thought that would be appropriate to do a video on. And yeah, show you guys what a wonderful camera this is. Where do I start? I made a video of the lens, which I'll link up here, and you can see just how sharp it is. That lens is absolutely on par with any Leica Summilux or Summicron 50mm. It doesn't give anything away. This is the sharpest lens that I've ever owned, even above the Nikon lenses. Nikon lenses are known to be extremely sharp. This guy is a winner. So there's not much to say in that respect about the lens. You'll see it in the video. It's a beautiful lens. What I can say is that these cameras originally come with a coupled EV system. I would highly recommend that you decouple that. There is a video online on how to do that. Mine came decoupled, so that means that you can independently move the aperture ring from the shutter speed ring, and which is really great. The EV system, that's just frustrating. Just get it decoupled. If you're a little bit handy, you can do it yourself. Mine is decoupled. When you get it decoupled, another beautiful aspect of that is that then the aperture ring becomes stepless, which then you can really fine-tune your exposure. And I love that about decoupling that lens. Now, the viewfinder, guys, the viewfinder is a treat. It really is. I don't think there's anything else that's better. It's a 1-to-1 ratio in magnification, so you can really look through it and keep your other eye open, which is really great in order to kind of scope the scene. You can be really quick this way. Boom. And as you see here, the advanced system is a double stroke system. Of course, with film, it's a little bit harder to advance, but see, the beauty of this double stroke system is that you can absolutely, you can keep the camera on your face and you're ready to go. So another aspect which makes this camera beautiful for the street is it's quiet. It's quiet in its shutter sound. So listen to that, guys. Listen to that. Here's another one. It's just really quiet. It's very quiet. It's more quiet than the Leica. Hey. No, seriously, guys, it's super quiet. It's a treat. That's why I love it out on the streets. That viewfinder. Yeah, so this being an all-mechanical camera, there's just it's a fixed lens rangefinder, so there's only going to be frame lines for 50mm, so there is absolutely no clutter. You have a little bit of real estate outside. Like I said, you can keep your eyes open, but there is zero clutter. There is no information to distract you from taking the photo, no shutter speed information, no nothing, just beautiful frame lines that, by the way, when you focus, they adjust for the image angle. Now, when you focus a lens, the image angle changes. So it changes a little bit when you focus in and out. And the Konica IIIA corrects for that. And it is very accurate. I've tested that. It is beautiful to see, those frame lines going in and out. And why Leica doesn't have that, I don't understand, but there's no clutter. Of course, I did buy, when you have a fixed lens rangefinder, inadvertently, you're going to be a little bit anal retentive about the lens itself, because if you drop it, so I've bought this third-party lens hood for it. I suggest you do that because that beautiful glass, you definitely don't want to damage that. And I really don't want to put filter on there that might ever so slightly degrade the quality of the image. Some say that it doesn't. Some say it does. I just choose to not put the filter on there. I choose to put this hood on there. If that camera then drops, this, $8, $10 hood gets broken. I also suggest that with this camera, you buy this third-party case for it, because natively it is a little bit harsh. There are edges on this camera that are just natively just a little bit harsh. And so, but this case, in addition to protecting that, gives a really good grip. I mean, it's a fantastic grip. And as you know, I hate straps. A camera strap just gets in the way. I see there are situations where a strap can be handy, but I don't like straps. So I just, I have a little camera bag, which I take it with me. It's perfect. Which I have a little camera bag, which I take with me, which is perfect for this camera. It fits perfectly. And then I have just this solid grip on there. This camera initially, and I still have to learn just a little bit where that little notch is, the focusing notch. I would say, that's my only gripe with this camera, is that little notch. I wish it was bigger. Maybe there's some third-party options for that. I'm going to look into that. I wish it was a little bigger. It is a little on the small side. It does the job beautifully, but sometimes you hunt a little bit for that, and that's the last thing you want when you're out on the street. So, but yeah, when you're out on the streets, that camera's in your hand, ready to go. And I've gotten into the habit to, putting this little notch, the focusing notch all the way to the left, which is infinity, which is sometimes handy to have at f8. But it's on the left. There we go. We can focus. We're ready to go. That's where I keep it. That's my only gripe. I wish it was a little bit bigger, a bit more notchy. Outside of that, we're having a leaf shutter, guys. So we can sync flash at any speed, all the way up to 1/500th of a second. That is phenomenal. I'm a flash shooter. I use that a lot. I've used it with my dad's little Mets flash that is older than me, and that thing still kicks ass. It keeps going. I love it. And so I usually set it at 1/250th. But, sometimes I set it on 100 to get a little bit more ambient light. It depends on the mood that I want to create in the photo. But I absolutely love the leaf shutter. And it's accurate. You're not going to get crazy long shutter speeds. 1 second is the longest shutter speed that you have, but you then have bulb, which is more than good enough. I've done night photography. I've done long exposures with it. You see it. I mainly use it for personal work and out on the streets. This camera is absolutely phenomenal. Also, that nice long base length that you need for an rangefinder, which is more than enough for the 50 millimeter. This camera is super sharp. I absolutely love it. Some complain about the weight. For me, the weight isn't an issue. It's just really well built. I read online a person saying that, the Konica IIIA is probably overbuilt. Overbuilt? I mean, what do you mean overbuilt? It's just really well built. What happened of course, this camera is from 58, and in 58, you can imagine that Japan was still kind of trying to get out of its, war zone time. And so that means that raw materials were a little bit scarce. And you see that a lot of cameras from that era just aren't that very well built. But it seems like with the Konica, no expense was spared. This thing is, the proverbial brick. It's kind of the F3 the F3. What am I saying? The Nikon F. That type build. If you've ever held a Nikon F, then this is fantastic. This is, and the chrome on it, according to the owner who repairs cameras, Jeffrey Guthrie, is better than anything seen on a Leica. So, yeah, there you have it. I mean, this camera is phenomenal. Of course, everybody salivates over Leicas. That's fine. You do what you do. You do you, right? And I think Leicas are a bit expensive for what they do. You can get the same quality with this. Of course, no interchangeable lenses here, but that is not necessary for me as a 50mm shooter. I love this camera, guys. I can't explain how much I love it. It's just been a fantastic shooter. Now, the big question, is this the camera for me? Yes and no. Of course, there are always gray areas. Yes, in terms of it does everything that I need it to do, and then some. You know, the lack of features is actually what makes this camera really great. The viewfinder, no distractions. Yes, with the hood, lens hood, there's a little bit of viewfinder blockage, but that hasn't been an issue for me. The simplicity of it, just the sheer simplicity. There's nothing to distract. There are no silly features, silly menus to get in, features that nobody will ever need or ever uses. It is just your bare bones, back to basics, wonderful photography. You know, you set the shutter speed, you set the aperture, you know, according to the ISO, according to the film that you have, you shoot with it. It's fantastic. There is nothing to distract you. You're shooting out on the streets, man. Boom. You can keep that eye open. I usually do keep my eye. You know, fantastic. I mean, what more do you need on the streets? And I've been shooting on the streets for about 6-7 months now. But, yeah, I have nothing but praise. Like I said, the only little gripe is the focusing notch. It's a little on the small side. You have to, you know, get into the habit of placing it where, you know, you can get to it real quick. And my earlier videos, you can definitely see me hunting for it. And that's something that you never want. But yeah, the only other thing is also the focusing patch itself. It's a 60+ year camera. In bright light, it's a little faint. If any of you know a service that can darken this window professionally, let me know in the comments. I would love that. If it's a little bit darker, that would be great. But it is still for 60+, it is spot on. You know, in bright lights, that's the only time where I have issues focusing. And I would say that would be the only gripe. Yeah, outside of that, guys, this camera is just great. I mean, what can I say? It just rivals any Leica. And I wish more people would pick up on this and not be so, swept up in the hype of the Leica. Leica is just one camera out there. There are other cameras that can do just the same thing and even better than that. No cloth shutter. All metal shutter. The shutter, they say, is the only thing that is its weak point, but it's so easy to repair. There's even a video on there. No cloth shutter. You know, a 60th of a shutter speed, a sync speed. You know, I've used this in the studio. So what more can I say? Guys, this camera is phenomenal. If you have the chance, buy one. They're super cheap. You can afford one and then sell it if you don't like it. Have an open mind. You know, look a little bit further than that little red dot on the camera. Guys, I love you and I'll see you in next week's video.